Alright, response video to that Jericho movie guy. Yeah, I watched a couple of minutes of his last video and didn't like it at all, so I figured let's just make a video response. It's on this stupid objective morality again. He's calling it, it's based morality based on axioms. So rain is wet. That's going to somehow explain morality. I mean, axioms, are basically, well, let's not even go through it, but I mean, they're just basically where you've invented a word to describe something else, and so you just say that something else is the thing that we invented a word to describe it as. So we'll argue this crap.
The convenience store for a little bit of an 8 o'clock at night snack of some kind, and I was checking comments, and I gotta say something. This is not going to be as thorough as what I would like it to be, but I have to say something. Objective morality is normally given to people in either the version of because God said so, sort of a thing, because it's in this book and that's what the book says. That's one brand. And then the other brand, it seems from me anyway, and the reason I'm making this video is that morality is like there to limit suffering. That life is suffering and morality is the answer to that dilemma. It's almost as if...
That's silly. There's the social contract, which really isn't morality, and then there's just this construction that there's certain things that are in the best interest of people, and it doesn't necessarily go directly to suffering. It also goes to, they want to, people think it's moral to be rich, so let's not play a game here. They think it's moral essentially to own other people or to underpay them. There's lots of things that are... So I don't get this crap at all. Anyway, keep going.
Morality, objective morality is like this big cosmic group hug everyone, group hug until one of us die, I guess, and we shove them off.
This doesn't even make any sense. Can't we just describe ethics? Can't we just describe what is of value in the fucking universe, and then decide whether we're rationally... You said you were on the way to the store. When you go to the store and you buy something at the fucking store, you say, well, is this worth what I'm paying for it? Well, that's what fucking morality is. It's deciding whether, well, if we impose a law, is the law against something, are we going to gain a benefit that's worth what we lose because we have this law now that says you can't do certain things? And that morality is based on the substance. What's the substance worth? What's inside the bottle that you're getting? What's the gain? What's the crap that this is made out of? And what life is made out of, you cannot deny that one of the substantive, big important things is our vulnerability, our capacity to be harmed, which is suffering, a word you've now maligned and trivialized. You fucking cunt.
It's gross. But we're here, we're suffering, let's all just get along because it's shit, and we might as well not make it any shittier than what it has to be.
I just loved, who are you paraphrasing? Whose philosophy was that a paraphrase of? Can you give me a name? Can you point to some videos that describe that morality, asshole?
No, I don't buy that. I didn't buy that at all. What I rather do...
Yeah, why? So you didn't buy your own straw man. Well, so no surprise there, I guess.
Is I approach it from the basis of axioms that people have a hard time arguing with. You guys like Hume. I don't like Hume, but most of you like Hume. And it was Hume that said... I should have had this pulled up, because I'm not going to quote this right, and someone's going to get pissy with me. But it was Hume that said the reason you believe something is because you can't come up with a good counter to that opinion, to that statement.
Right. That's just being kind of logical, too. It's not the reason why you believe something, but it's what gives something credibility. What gives a theory or an idea credibility is the fact that you can twist it and turn it and play with it and manipulate it, and you can't find a break in it. You can't find any way to crack it. All right? It doesn't have any fucking flaw. It doesn't have a vulnerability. Yeah, so then you say, yeah, well, that's a damn solid piece of crap. I'm going to put it inside my brain, but that's damn solid shit.
That you say, X is true. The only reason you accept a statement like that is because you can't think of any alternative explanation. That you can't make it go away. You can't debunk it in some way. You can't rationalize it away, whatever the case may be. And so, how I approach the subject anyway is to begin with axioms. Now, axioms are not just, there's another word for it that most people think when you think axiom, but...
Yeah, well, you could use premise. That could be one.
An axiom is a self-evident statement, like man is aware. We can notice it is self-evident because we're considering the validity of that claim. We couldn't do that without. We could also say that man thinks. Also, if we were to consider the validity or invalidity of that claim, we have to believe that.
Yeah, but we have to also be aware of the fact that we actually invented the word awareness and think to describe what we were doing. So we sort of cheated a little bit.
Man can think. And we can say also that man can come to a conclusion, since the point of all this is to come to the conclusion as to whether or not it is valid to think that any of these axioms are.
Yeah, the conclusions are irrelevant if they are incorrect. I mean, it's irrelevant that we can come to conclusions. It doesn't really mean much if our conclusions have no reliability. But what gives them reliability is the fact that, yes, we have to put them, we have to expose them to critique. And so I shall critique your conclusions.
Self-evident. And then finally we come to the point where we can say that the conclusions can be true or false. Next, we can say that man has needs. And say, well, would anyone like to say no, man has no needs? Man.
Yeah, I would. Okay, I'll raise my hand. Yeah, well, probably the way you're going to use the word, yeah, it's probably not completely correct. There's probably better words for what man has. Man has desires. We could use that word. And then we could analyze desire. We could say, well, desire is basically just an addiction. So why don't we just change your statement to man has addictions? Now, care to argue that? Yeah, I don't think you will.
Has needs. Man has needs. Or the thing dies, right?
Yeah, well, dying doesn't necessarily mean anything, does it? That's just living long is just one of those addictions, isn't it? I mean, theoretically, the consciousnesses that exist are, if we all died in 10 minutes, but there was going to be 7 billion new people created 10 minutes later, what would be the difference? Theoretically.
You got needs. You got needs. And this is where the suffering bit works into this.
Yeah, well, this is where, again, needs. See, needs implies that something is critically important, that it's vital. So now this is the tricky part, because what's the vital part of life? The vulnerability to suffering are the rather frivolous, extravagant, eccentric addictions. Now, which one is more important? The hard pain that people suffer, they get cancer and chemo and all that, or the, oh gee, I just bought myself a Mercedes 284Z or whatever. Who the fuck cares?
I think the suffering perspective, it needs to be addressed. It's just not from that basis is objective morality found, but we can see it subsumed in this angle that I'm proposing to you guys.
We can see that, but yes, you're going to have to demonstrate it first. This is where I cut off. Bullshit alarm went off.
Man has needs, and we can talk about his needs in lieu of his suffering.
Okay, let's talk about his addictions. Okay, in the context of suffering created to satisfy his addictions.
Suffering, and so on. And that's all fine. But grant me at least the wording that man has needs.
No, man has addictions. Maybe I'll agree to desires, but let's know, needs. No, we haven't demonstrated that he needs any of the crap he wants.
And then also grant me the axiom that man acts on behalf of himself, or whatever, acts to fulfill his needs. So far, so good,
Acts, right, to satisfy his desires, to satisfy his addiction. So he goes out and he seeks his heroin.
I would hope anyway. And then we say that man can act from the conclusions that he thinks about. I call it deliberation. That's deliberation. It's an action as the result of a conclusion that you came to in your mind through some kind of syllogism that was either very explicit and clear in your mind or something more subliminal. But anyway, if there's a conclusion...
Well, I think it does matter. I mean, either you're going to act out of some conditioning or out of some kind of traditional robotic behavior, or yes, you're going to think about the action, say, what's the best thing for me to do in this circumstance ethically? And that's a more complex, and you'd have to do a little thinking. I do the math and start adding up all the addictions and all the sufferings and then try to figure out, well, what's the best thing for me to do?
That comes to you in your mind that serves as the basis of an action, and you do that to fulfill some kind of need.
No, you do that to satisfy some sort of desire, and you can manifest a